Okay, time to do the setup for game 2 for Prep Test 50. So the members of a 5-person committee will be selected from among 3 parents, F, G, and H, 3 students, K, L, and M, and 4 teachers, U, W, X, and Z. The selection of committee members will meet the following conditions. Okay, so going back, the members of a 5-person committee will be selected from among this larger group of various types of players, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in. Okay, so we're selecting. So with select, selection, selected, selecting, right? When we have that root word select, we're very likely looking at an in and out situation. Okay, so we have 5 in the committee. How many does that put out? Well, we have 3 plus 3 plus 4, which is 10. So we're going to have 5 in and 5 out. We have parents, F, G, and H. I'm going to do lowercase for the students to differentiate them visually. And then for the teachers, I'll do cursive. Okay. You can also certainly use like a subscript, right? So you could do F, P subscript. Okay. S, oh, sorry. And that's not usually what I do, so there I am making a silly error. U, T, G, X, T, Z, T. Okay, so that's another option for how you can arrange your players. Obviously this is my personal preference, but if this works better for you, then go for it. Okay, the selection of committee members will meet with the following, conditions. The committee must include exactly 1 student. Okay, so we're going to have exactly 1 student in. There are 3 total, so that means that we have 2 out. Okay, so that's rule 1. 2, F and H cannot both be selected. Right, so F and H are both parents. They can't both be selected, so that means that at least one of them is out. So we do have at least 1 parent out. We can represent this conditionally. So if F is selected, H cannot be. If H is selected, F cannot be. And that would be our contrapositive. Okay. Rule 3, M and Z cannot both be selected. Okay, so M is a student. So could potentially fill one of these student spots, and Z is a teacher. So for this one, yes, we know that at least one of them is out, but we don't know if we have to save an extra spot because we could put M out. Okay. If M is selected, Z is not. If Z is selected, then M is not. Rule 4. We have U and W, very similar structure, right? They can't both be selected. Okay, U and W are both teachers. We don't have a spot in the out group reserved for a teacher yet, so we can reserve one because we know that there's going to be at least 1 teacher out. All right, rule 5. F cannot be selected unless Z is also selected. Another conditional rule. So this format of not A unless B, right? So that sort of sentence structure means the same thing as if A, then B, right? We can also, and I would recommend this is what I do, anytime I see unless, I replace it with if not, and then I start there. So if not B, then not A, and we would typically write that by crossing them out rather than writing out not, right? So in this case, unless Z is also selected, F cannot be selected. Doesn't matter if we put unless at the beginning of the sentence or in the middle of the sentence, it's introducing Z being selected. So it's going to be if Z is not selected, then F cannot be selected. Okay. So if F is selected, then Z must be. Okay, and you can have these reversed. It doesn't matter which one is your original and which one is your contrapositive. You're still going to get 2 triggers out of it. Okay, so everything on the left there is a trigger. For 6, we have the same format, right? W cannot be selected unless H is also selected. I could look at that as not W unless H, therefore if W, we must have H, right? So with this one, I'm using the other method where I translate it like that rather than using if not and starting it off there, right? But we're going to derive the other one when we create the contrapositive anyways. And we get our two triggers. So just a little discussion of how to translate, right? So in this case, we need to have at least one of these out, but we could have both of them out. Okay, that's going to be the same for these rules. Here, it's possible to have Z in and F out. Okay, that is possible, but we can't have F in and Z out. If F is in, Z has to be in as well. So both of these things can be true, and at least one of them does have to be true. Same here, we could have H in and W out, that would be okay. All right, some methods are going to ask you to make connections between the rules already. That's not how I do these questions. I don't really think that that's efficient. I think having all of your triggers lined up with the consequences next to them like this, and then doing what you need to do to answer each of the questions is more valuable. I think if we start to try to link them up at the very beginning, it could be wasting time. Now, do I think it's important to notice those connections? Absolutely, because that's what you're going to have to do to answer the questions. So for this one, I am going to go through the questions. So if you want to try the questions on your own and come back and watch my explanations, then I think that's a great idea. But yeah, I'm going to get into the questions now. Okay, so if I can pull up here, and hopefully you can still make that out. It's not too small. All right, so we're starting with question 6 here, 6 to 11. So which one of the following is an acceptable selection of committee members? For these, if you've watched my other videos, you know that I just do process of elimination based on the rules, right? So we have to have exactly one student. I'm going to go with that one first. So we have 1 of KLM. So A is out because we have 2. KLM. Okay, so the rest are fine. So we've followed that rule. Rule 2, if we have F, we can't have H. So I'm looking for the rule breaker. I'm looking for both H and F together. I don't see that anywhere, so we can't eliminate based on that rule. We can't have M and Z together. Can't eliminate based on that rule. We can't have W and U together, so we can eliminate D based on rule 4, right? We eliminated A based on rule 1. If we have F, we have to have Z, so we can eliminate B based on rule 5. If we have W, we have to have H, so we can eliminate C based on rule 6, and E is the correct answer. I'm going to write that out for my bank of acceptable solutions. Okay, that is an L. And I'm going to write out the players that are out as well. Okay, so we have F and G out. We also have U out, and then we have our students K and M. So our students, we have F out. We need to do that, and that fills that teacher spot that we needed to have out. Put a big check mark next to it. So that means that it is part of our bank of acceptable solutions. Okay, question 7. If W and Z are selected. So we just start out with W and Z selected, right? We actually have an example of that right here, but we're going to start with these, this information, and then go to our rules. So if W is selected, that triggers U to be out. 1, 2, 3. So U is out. What else does that trigger? So, okay, W, so U is out, great. If U is out, that doesn't trigger anything, so we move on to W means that H is in. If H is in, then F is out, great. Okay, if F is out, that doesn't trigger anything, great. If Z is in, M is out, okay. And if M is out, that doesn't trigger anything. We know that we have to have either K or L in, right? And neither of those is a trigger. So K or L is in, and the other one is going to be out. And then what do we have remaining? So X is an option, and G is also an option. So either of those could be in, right? So a pair of people that could also be selected, U and X, no. K and L, no, can't have both of them. G and M, no, we can't have M. G and K, yes, we could, so we could pick K and G, so D is the correct answer. E is wrong, we cannot have F. Question 8. Which one of the following is a pair of people who cannot both be selected? Okay, so putting one of them in puts the other one out. F and G I'm going to ignore because G is wild. F and M seems like there might be some potential there. So for B, if F is in, then H is out. Also Z is in. And if Z is in, then M is out. So if F is in, M has to be out. We can't have them both in. B is the correct answer. Question 9. If W is selected. Okay, so if we have W, well, we definitely have H, and we don't have U. If we have H, we don't have F, and that's where it ends. So any one of the following could also be selected except F. F can't be selected, so A is the correct answer. U also can't be selected, but it's not an option in this question. Question 10. If the committee is to include exactly one parent. All right, so one parent, so that means we have one student, one parent, and 3 teachers. Right, so even though they didn't talk about teachers, I think that's going to be really the defining element here, because in order to fit all of those teachers in, we're really going to have to pay attention to which teachers would have to be or cannot be together, I guess, right? We're only going to put one teacher out. All right, we do already have a spot for a teacher that needs to be out, so we can't have both W and U in, so one of them has to be out. The other one will have to be in, so that we have enough teachers, and then both X and Z have to be in to fulfill that. If Z is in, M is out. M is a student. What else with Z? Okay, so Z being in doesn't actually tell us anything else. X being in doesn't tell us anything, but this may be enough to get us the correct answer, and it is. E is the correct answer. So if the committee is to include exactly one parent, then X needs to be selected. All right. Question 11. If M is selected, so we start with M. Go to here, M means no Z. All right, no Z means no F. No F doesn't take me anywhere. Do I have anything else for having M in? No, doesn't look like I do. So in, Z is out, F is also out. Oh, also, M is a student, right? So that fills our single student spot. The other students have to be out. So L and K have to be out. So in these in and out games where we have subsets or like subcategories of players, right? We have these 3 different groups of players. It is important to make sure that you're noting that when you get information about a player, that you're going, okay, what type of player is this? In this case, this is a student. So we're going to make sure that we look at the rules that involve students. So that was something I almost forgot, and I'm going totally off of the screen here. Sorry about that. Okay, so we've got these 2 out. We also have Z out, and we have F out. We need to save room so that we have one of U or W out. The other one's going to have to be in. G and H will have to be in, and the remaining player is X. So the only unknown is UW, so it must include B, G, and H must be included. Okay, so that's the full game. Hopefully you were able to follow as I was making these diagrams and connecting the rules. So what I'm doing there is as soon as I get new information, I'm just scanning through my triggers, which I've highlighted here. And if the rule is triggered, right, if that trigger is present, then I can go to the consequence. And now that consequence is something that I know to be true and can, you know, I can check the triggers out, right? What I'm being very careful to avoid is if I know that one of these things is true, I want to avoid going the opposite direction. Okay, that's one of the reasons that I create all my contrapositives up front, so that I'm not trying to create contrapositives during the game and yeah, in that sort of heat of the moment under time pressure, making silly mistakes. Okay. If you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah, I'll be happy to hear from you.